Hello, everyone. This is Klint Macro, Vice President of Firearms Owners Against Crime Institute for Legal, Legislative, and Educational Action. I'm joined here today with our esteemed president, Jim Stoker, and one of our board members, Lizzie Jackovich. And we're going to talk about some interesting new things that took place today. As you know, we've been involved in many different cases, legal actions across the Commonwealth. We still have quite a few pending, but we got some excellent news about one of them today. And Jim, I think the honor should be yours to tell everyone what's going on.
Great. So, as many of you were aware, we had been in a lawsuit for 10 years now against the city of Harrisburg. So, 10 years ago, Harrisburg had five ordinances on the books, including discharge ordinances, minors with the firearms, even just possessing firearms during emergency declarations. So, we had five ordinances in Harrisburg that were all of clear violation of the state preemption issue. And we went to bat against those 10 years ago. And the court was stagnant on it for a long time. It just sat there with nothing pending, nothing in court, no court dates. We went back to court last year, early on, and the courts juggled things a little bit. The county court said, "Hey, these four ordinances that you have right now are all in violation of preemption. You can't have these on the books." However, the court, Dauphin County Court, decided that because their emergency declarations ordinance, according to them, had never been enacted, which is a separate lie to decide, to dissect, but had never been enacted, that he would not find it in violation of preemption. But he did warn the city, if you ever were to enact this, I'm sure it would be a violation. So we originally were happy with that decision because we figured, well, it struck four of their ordinances, and the fifth one they said they would never enact. Um, Again, we could argue the language on that, but they decided they were going to appeal. They wanted to fight the four ordinances, the loss that they had taken. So we went ahead and we filed an appeal on the one ordinance, the emergency declarations ordinance, and then unusually they withdrew their appeal immediately after we filed ours. So interesting turn up. It went to the Commonwealth Court after that, then it went to the Supreme Court and back down to the Commonwealth Court. The Commonwealth Court has ruled that in this case the lower court erred, and they have struck now. They've basically told the lower court, we're reversing your decision, and you need to further act against this emergency declarations ordinance. So there's some very interesting language there. Like I said, they had a minors possession ordinance, they had a discharge ordinance, they had a lost and stolen mandated reporting ordinance, and they had a park ordinance. Those all were beaten initially in the county, but the emergency declaration ordinance is now being struck as well. So we're waiting to see what the Dauphin County judge does in this case. We'll have to see what he decides to do. I'm assuming an injunction will come out very quickly on that topic.
Yeah, what an interesting situation. I mean, the fact that we went ahead and appealed it, I think, was the right move, obviously, because here we are looking at a big W. But it's kind of like if I stole a car, like, okay, we're not going to arrest you unless you drive it. I still stole the car. They passed the ordinance. The ordinance was illegal. I mean, the law is what the law is. Preemption is very clear, and we have lots and lots of case law to substantiate that. But I'm really happy about this. Uh, Lizzie, where were you when you heard the news this morning?
I was in my kitchen cleaning crab legs for a seafood boil. That's what I was doing. And I saw Josh's headline, I saw the email, and I had to hurry up and wash my hands and get the crab off. And then I read, and I was very amazed at, something that we've been working on for so long. You hear court cases take 3, 4 years. We're at 10, so this is a huge victory for the state of Pennsylvania for gun owners and anyone who, you know, um, appreciates the Second Amendment and exercises that freedom. So it was a really good day for us, and I hope this keeps moving forward. I hope everything else we have litigation causes those big W's, and it's just yet another win from FOAC.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
I think Jim, like you and I got on the board around the same time, I believe. I'm not sure which one of us was on there first, or maybe we came in the same year, but I believe this was filed like right after I became a a board member. It's
Yeah,
been a
January,
long time.
January of 2015. So I think you and I both hopped on the board in 2014 or thereabouts, or early on that year. So about a year later, this became an actual suit, and here we sit, 10 and a half years later, 11 years later, really, sitting here looking at the final result. So, what's interesting in the ruling too, and something that Harrisburg spent well over. I mean, just from the right to know requests we have that don't even come up to the totality of the case, well over $75,000 fighting this case. And ironically, for ordinances that have all been thrown out by higher courts in other jurisdictions. So, you've
That's
got
the
to
key
sit and
here.
ask, yeah, what are they doing? Do the taxpayers even know? We'll present this to the media over there and say, hey, they've wasted 75 grand of your tax money. But here you're sitting looking at the city of Harrisburg, where in recent news, the mayor's threatening to sue the city council. So I guess that tells you all you really need to know.
Some people's kids, right? Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
most of the crime we fight is the elected officials or bureaucrats that can't follow the law. But there is a great deal of hubris there. I mean, I suppose it could be pure ignorance, but I would like to think that our elected officials are a little more schooled up, especially prior to enacting these court cases or filing. We've always sent them letters saying, "Hey, look, here's where you're wrong, and here's what the law says, and here's what the court precedent." And especially with the bigger communities or in the bigger cities, we even speak with their counsel before we file. So we try to exhaust every opportunity because we're spending all of our money, which is membership dues and donations and gun bash revenue. They're spending taxpayer dollars, man. I think the people of Harrisburg that live there should be reasonably concerned about the waste.
Yeah, and I guess ironically is the way to put it. We just had the testimony in front of the Senate, was it October, about strengthening preemption to try to resolve these cases and make it so there is a punishment to the municipal governments and the city governments that knowingly violate these statutes. Especially, we testified in front of the Senate. We give them these letters. We notify them of their violation. And these aren't just me sending letters. We pay our legal counsel to do it. These letters are 6 pages long with quote after quote of case law to explain to them what the problem is. And here we sit. So, we want to thank Josh First,
Mhm.
FOAC member Josh First, and Howard Bullock, two lifetime members. It was them as Harrisburg residents that were able to go in and testify with me in the courtroom. So between the three of us testifying, we were able to solidify standing. Harrisburg wanted to argue standing. They want to argue that, you don't have any standing if you've never been arrested for it. Well, we've seen that overruled by the Supreme Court here in Pennsylvania, stating that if there's a potential you could be arrested, you have standing. So that's a big case. And interestingly enough, on the decision, we're going to post, I believe our chief counsel, Josh Prince, has already posted a blog piece on this on his forum. We'll get this out there as well. But on a footnote in this case, the court actually stated that the court does not appear to have appealed from the trial court's order, which is what they had done, and then they withdrew. And so they've restricted the city. They said the city acts as an appellee here only and may not raise its own issues regarding traditional standing at oral argument. So by them not appealing, they're pretty much they've boxed themselves in now. So I don't expect them to appeal this to the Supreme Court. I'd be surprised if they do. But as we just said, they're spending taxpayer dollars not out of their own pockets. So I guess that remains to be seen. They're
I
coming
don't
after your wallet, Lizzie.
I was going to say, I would like to throw in here that, I think that's something very important that maybe a lot of people don't understand is that those 6 page letters that our attorney sends, that costs a lot of money. Every bit of the money that we raise from our gun bashers, from our generous donors, every bit of it goes to this fight. And I don't think people really understand how expensive it is. We make a phone call, and we're paying for that. So I do encourage folks. I continue to thank everyone who donates for their continued support, but really urge people to get out to our next gun bash, Saturday, March 24th, 2026. It's a great way to get involved. It's a wonderful day. Fellowship. You get Klint, the MC, on the mic all day. It's a win for everybody. And if you can, always just go to 2apa.org, donate what you can, support what you can, join us in this fight.
Yeah, I'd hardly say listening to me all day is necessarily a big prize.
It's fun.
But,
It can
but
be fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I
the
will
gun
say,
bash is a big thing.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead, Jim.
March 14th. That's our gun bash, and it's definitely there's our gun bash chair. It's
You know,
yeah.
I was thinking when this case last was in court was August 24th, 2024.
You
This is
got
on
it.
my mind. So yes, Saturday, March 14th, 2026 is the gun bash.
Excellent. Well, one last thing I'd like to say, just because it's somewhat ironic. Judge Wolf wrote the decision on this, and it's been a long time since we've had anyone named Wolf say anything good out of Harrisburg.
It's a fact.
That
Yeah,
is true.
yeah.
Well, thank you both. I appreciate you taking the time to jump on here with me, and we can get this video out so that the membership's aware of what's happening. I think it's important we keep doing this. I actually had somebody approach me at the gun show in Washington County the other day, pulled his shirt open so I could see his FOAC t-shirt on, and said, "Hey, I love those videos you guys are doing. Keep that up because I can't do all that reading." So we're hoping we can get the message out there for everyone.
Good, good. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Make sure if you're not a member that you join. If you own a firearm and you live in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, you really should be a member of FOAC because we're an all-volunteer organization and we're fighting those tyrannical government officials and bureaucrats that are trying to take away your right to keep and bear arms to protect yourself and those that you love. So visit the website, 2apa.org. Jim, Lizzie, thank you very much, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you.